All right, are we recording?
Yes.
All right, we're on. Welcome back, everybody. Episode 2 of Two Crows Sitting on the Line. This is where my mom and I get together and we, have some intimate conversations to see how we're doing and how we can support our journey and also support others. So for more information, just check the details below, or if you want to know all about the creation of this, check out episode 1 where we dive deep into why we do what we do. So welcome back. All right, Mom.
I was thinking that was the pilot and this is episode 1.
Hey,
See?
I don't know, pilot. I like that. Okay, we could do that. Okay, so we're still in creation mode. So thanks for joining us, everybody. You're gonna be basically on our journey of creation because that's what it is, right? That's all we're doing here is we're creators of this life, and that's what you're gonna get. So it can change often. So welcome to our creation. All right, so this is episode 1. That's the pilot. Episode 1. How you doing, Mom?
I'm doing good today. Not such a manic state with work, so that was really good. And we can kind of talk on that because we kind of talked about that during our pilot episode after we were done or was that later? I don't remember when it was.
one of our caring conversations.
And it's getting I want to do the best of my job that I can. And so I feel that my reputation is my quality in doing good. And sometimes I get stuck in that cycle and becomes kind of like a manic is we got to take care of this and this and this, and things change so quick and there's a lot of movement and getting caught up in that. And she happened to give me a call, so I stopped and I was like, whoo, I didn't realize that work had got me into that state to where I was multitasking. I was having 2 IM chats. I was on the phone. I was doing emails. I was listening into a conference call. So was that really giving my best quality of work? It wasn't the best for me. And so having that stop and pause, and then when I went back to redirect the day, it was much calmer. Everything still got done, but it wasn't in that hyper state, that fight or flight even. I got to get all this done, blah, blah, blah. Everything depends on it. So it was really nice. Today, much better flow. So definitely not hyperactive at work right now.
That's good. Were you able to kind of identify what even fueled that from the beginning, like how you got to that point? Because usually there's some type of underlying like belief system that we carry, whether from past lives, childhood, or it's based off our experiences. So were you able to like identify what belief system you had that even allowed you to get to that more uncomfortable state?
Yeah. So reoccurring state that I've worked on throughout my life is that if it's not at the level I want it to be, it means that I have to work harder and I have to work more. And not letting it not be because I can't control what other people in the work environment are doing. So that's not on me, and I don't have to own it. I don't have to do my share plus their share, or plus this extra stuff that nobody has identified who's supposed to do it, not just to take it on to say, no, this has to be to the top quality, and if it's not working, it means it's me and I have to do more. So realizing that people need to take care of their own stuff and I don't have to do it all. And I do my best to my ability, and that's what I do. So that's a big one for me that cycles.
Yeah, it seems like a reoccurring cycle, and it's definitely one that I've had in my lifetime, right? So probably something that comes down our family line again, of this this desire to be perfect and please everyone and do it all right, and like take so much on our shoulders. It's like, okay, if you're not going to do it, don't worry, I'll do it. That server mentality. So what did you think like was the ultimate lie that you identified from that situation, and then what is the truth truth now, like your new truth that you've identified that you're going to move forward with, that helped today be like so much better?
Is I don't have to do it all. And other people are responsible for their portion. And I need to let them be responsible for their own portion. So I'll take care of my stuff. My stuff's done. Then I have the option to, I can offer to help with your stuff, or I can let you do your own stuff. As long as I'm taking care of my true task, and making sure that I'm taken care of, that my self needs are being met. And then letting others have that same opportunity. I think the truth is, letting others be accountable for their own stuff, whether it's good or bad, whatever they choose, is, hey, this is mine. And I'm always willing to help, but I'm not just going to take it on.
Yeah. It kind of comes back to like setting boundaries
there.
Yeah. Well, we can come back. We can keep talking about this because I'm experiencing kind of the same thing. I think maybe, it's like what you told me at one point, like you are where I was and you will be where I am kind of thing. Like I was just there. And I think I've made a few baby steps in a direction I'd like to go, but it's the same thing that I'm kind of seeing where it comes back to support. For me, it's this limiting belief that I've identified in my past of not feeling supported. And so then I'm like, okay, that's not true. I have support. And then kind of trying to flip my script, but also like I'm in this kind of tough place of like, okay, I've identified that. And I know my truth is that I have support. And I started kind of appreciating all the support, even though it didn't look like support to me with the lens I had on. I saw it in different ways. But then at the same time, it's setting boundaries with those that maybe aren't supporting you, even though you've asked for the support. And I'm in this thing of like, okay, is this a reflection again? Why even when I ask, am I still not receiving? Or I'm trying to just be like my best self for them and just asking, just putting it out there like, hey, just like I called you. I was like, I just want to be someone to ask me how I'm doing and also be okay with how I'm feeling and want to talk it through with me and say that my emotions are valid. And just even today, I got the same feedback of you're overreacting. And all I was doing was asking for someone to maybe hear me out, or I was asking like, it would be really helpful if this, and it was just immediately I was shut down and I'm like, but the good thing was I wasn't triggered. That's huge. I wasn't like, like you don't support me and I'm shutting down. I kind of was like, okay, is this a reflection of what's still inside me? Or is this their shit that they're projecting on me? So I want to get your perspective on that, because it's the same thing of like, you start to set boundaries and I'm having a problem identifying the difference between a reflection that's showing me something about myself, because that's how it all started. Was I reflected back on like 3 years the same, like needing to validate myself, or like that people didn't think that what I had and my experiences was enough, right? And then I was like, whoa. And then it was being reflected very much so in the recent couple weeks, where it just in my face, and I was like playing victim, right? And was like, mad at these people. But then when I saw the connection of what it was telling me was still a limiting belief that I needed to let go of and transmute, I loved them for it, right? I was like, as uncomfortable as it was, I was like, thank you. And then I switched. So now that I've learned that, I'm in this place of like, okay, you didn't trigger me, but yet I'm still like, why is that not okay for me to ask for support, or ask for a non-judgmental space, or a conversation that is supportive? Why is that still coming to me? Is that reflection? Or do I set a boundary with that person because that's their shit?
Right.
What do you think? That's okay.
So, that's hard. I mean, and that's a hard one for me too, because, even what we talked about yesterday in my trigger that got me into that hyper state, that came off of my coworker. And so was she then my reflection, or was it, hey, I need to set limits? And right now, maybe a little bit of both. And then I guess having to ask that question and seeing which rings true in the moment. Is this a reflection, or is this a, hey, boundary thing? How can you identify that?
I guess.
No, I'm thinking is going back to, for me, is you do a lot of work, right? And you're always in your head thinking, and you're always feeling. So take a step back and do the, is it true? Is it not? Is that muscle?
Ooh, the muscle testing.
Exactly. Because when we're caught up in that, so it's emotional, we're thinking about it a lot, we're feeling a lot, but sometimes it gets too convoluted. So where is that line? Because that line can be really thin, and it could be both. It could, I need to set boundaries with you, but hey, am I reflecting this out? Just do a self-check. But if you do that muscle testing, it's a really good way to kind of that neutral point of yourself. Which one is it? And is it?
Yeah, I like that. I like that's a really cool tip, because like I'm trying to get to that place where I can see the truth of people through their projections, through their traumas, and know that that's not about me, that's about them. Or is it me? It's just seeing that truth. But like right now it's a little hard, especially when it's someone that you're so close with, whether coworkers or family. Then I'm like, it hurts a little when it is someone you want support from. And maybe they're just like, maybe they're not ready. So then it's that thing of like, okay, that didn't work out, they're not ready. I asked. It's hard. It's really hard when it's easier for me when I'm on the outside and I'm just a guide, because it's not directly impacting me. But when it's like my own family relationships or my own coworkers, it's like, I'm trying to tell you what I could use for me to be supported. And it's like rejection. It's that rejection comes back. Like, I'm just, so to be okay with that is uncomfortable. But I really like the idea of the tool, because when you're in that uncomfortable state, a lot of times you get into that fight or flight, that reptilian mindset. And so then you aren't thinking as clearly. So it's like, okay, wait a minute, is this about me? Do you want to maybe talk through like how that muscle testing with just the hands work?
Yeah. And that's why we have tools, and that's all they are. We know inside and how connected we are to that. But when we have the anxiety, or we have emotions, or we have too much thought around it, it gets unclear. So one of the things that I fall back on, and it goes in, there's a lot of different ways about muscle testing, if anyone listening isn't aware or used to that term. And I started out years ago just sliding my fingers. And because it's a real simple thing to do, and people don't notice that you're doing it. And if it's a yes, if you'll notice, for me, my fingers slide really easy. As soon as it's a no, I start getting like, hey, I've got all this traction and my tires just locked up on the pavement. Sometimes it's a real hard fast where I can't, all of a sudden, it's like all my fingertip grooves just went and locked up. And so, and that's the different feeling, whether it's like, ooh, look, I have such smooth, soft hands, to where, oh crap, I need to go like get some major lotion on, because there's no smoothness there. And it's just a really great technique, and you can try it out. Just, think to yourself, tell me what's a yes. Even if you start off with the basics, my name is Marsha. Well, yes, that's what it is. My name is Frank. It's not Frank. And it automatically locks up.
So you can choose like to calibrate by either saying like, show me my yes and see how it responds, show me my no, or just saying a truth and maybe something that is not true, and get your yes and no that way.
Exactly. And it kind of depends, you always play with what works with you, because you are your own I don't say tool, but we are.
Yeah, we are.
And and just get used to it. The more that you do it, you'll see the more accurate and the more fast that it comes. If
Ah,
you can't quite figure it out, like it's a yes or a no, you may be in that maybe area. So then break down your question more. And straight, simple questions is what you want to ask. Is this good for me?
mm-hmm.
Okay, is all of this good for me? Is this person good for me? But they're not the person that needs to, that I need to be asking for support. Because
Mm-hmm.
maybe even though you think that person is the one that you need the support from, maybe it's not. Maybe the support that they're going to give you is a codependent.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe
Yeah.
it isn't that helpful to you. Maybe they're not in the space to give you that support. You know, you think, oh, you know me, you love me, we're great, I'm asking for support, and they're like, nope. So maybe it's not a denial of giving you what you need. It's that they either aren't the right person to be giving it to you, or they're not in the right space,
Mm-hmm.
or it's not for your highest good.
Yeah,
But
and that's maybe something too that I need to work on, is to let go of attachments to that kind of things. Like, even if it's some, and that's come up for me. We can talk about that in a little bit. Like, I'm being asked to let go of everything that I'm attached to and all expectations in order to complete this transformation and rebirth stage that I'm in. And that means everything. And that means not just attachments to maybe, vices or negative things. That's attachments to everything that you love, everything you've created, the entire my entire creation. I'm being asked to let it all completely go, in order to birth the new me. It doesn't mean, I don't think, that it's gone forever. It's just like part of the process that I'm being asked to, shed my skin in a way that, like, what I'm being called to do is so big that I have to be completely hollow. And maybe that's what that showed me today, is that, okay, it's better, but you still have an attachment outside of you, that you are looking for support, where to do what I'm here to do is that, I'm I need to be okay being the only one to rely on. Maybe I need to be completely unattached to all things in the 3D realm and all expectations of what I thought my life would be, or what I thought was coming next, because what I'm being shown is that it's something that isn't even explainable, because it doesn't exist in this realm right now. And so I can't, every time my mind tries to analyze it, it's actually a blockage, because there's no way for me to do that, because there's no book about it. There's no, what's going to come through is not known to this dimension right now. So it's an interesting place to be in, that I'm at right now. So
that just means you get to write the book.
yeah, right. Which is, I'll totally write a book. I'm excited about that. So yeah, and I like that idea. So the muscle testing, and I like, back on that is, I work, let me see if I can grab it without pulling this off. Back to like muscle testing and energy work and stuff, like I work with a pendulum. So, this is a similar way that we can muscle test and check things out. So like, if I ask it to show me my yes, I get a front and backwards swing. And if I ask it to show me my no, I get my counterclockwise rotation. However, out in public, sometimes when I want to check my food or check a situation, I don't always, now this is changing, but I don't always feel comfortable just popping that out, because people weren't ready for that at that time, and I wasn't ready because I was still judging myself, which is why we launched this. This whole channel is so that we could talk about these things in a safe space. But that way to do that is if you want to be discreet but still do your muscle testing and ask your highest self what is best for you. That's a way to do that. So I'm just really going to check on this situation real quick. So like an example of what I might ask about that situation would be, all right, so the experience that was a little bit uncomfortable for me with someone that I'm close to, was that a reflection of something inside of me that I need to work on? No. Was that a projection of something within that person that they're dealing with? Yes. Was that still a lesson for me in that moment? Yes. Was the lesson attachments? Any other questions you could think of?
And so since they weren't able to support you, was there something that you could have done that was supported them in that moment?
Mm-hmm. In that moment when this person was not able to support me, was there something that I could have done to support them? No.
No. Yeah.
And it just kind of was, and I, even in that moment, I kind of set a boundary pretty quickly. A little harsh, I bit a little bit. It wasn't super triggered, but I kind of wanted to like set this boundary with them just because it was like I got shut down, and then it was like a little bit after that, they're like they needed help, and I was like, nope, flat out. And then I even said, how do you like that mirror? And,
Yeah.
and then so that comes to boundaries, and I'm trying to not bite hard when it comes to that, but at the same time,
Yeah, that was a little snarky. That was a little snarky. So
yeah, and that's what I get. I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm still obviously still a little triggered by that, which means I'm still attached to having an external support, and still maybe have that little bit of trauma in there where my experience has been where I haven't been supported. I've experienced time when I've not been supported, when I've been abandoned, when I've been rejected. All valid, right? So then when I ask for that now, especially in my smaller circles with coworkers, family, and then I'm rejected, I do tend to want to bite back a little bit.
So. And in that too, that's valid too.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right. If we were perfect, right? And that is the way we learn from each other, feeling that emotion of how does it feel once you've reached out and someone you expect to support you doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
If we dwell on it, right? And hold on to it and make it worse, well, okay, now we're going down a negative way. But if we did it and we're like, all right, we come back to it, and whether we help in that situation or a different one, we still care about the person or persons involved. But it is part of our learning.
And I'm trying.
We have the right to feel that way.
Yeah, and that's what that's what I asked for. I like validity of my feelings based on my experiences, and that experience in that moment is absolutely valid, even if it's a little uncomfortable. And just to be able to talk through that with someone helps process that, to then completely let it go, right? So instead of having that cycle repeat and me shut down, this is what is happening, where I'm trying to push through that, because that's, I think, one of the big lessons is being okay with that rejection, being okay with that lack of support from people that you're close to you, or from humanity, right? Because of they don't understand me, and being my own space, but then also looking to who I can talk to when it comes up. Like I've got you, and I've got other people that I'm building the tribe that does support me, but also not shutting down from those people, like not saying, okay, you don't want to support me, then I'll stop asking, because maybe they weren't ready in that moment to support me or be that safe, non-judgmental space to talk to me, but it doesn't mean that they won't be next time. And so I get stuck in that keep trying, but also when do you just stop, like stop trying to ask for that. So that's where I don't want to shut down, especially from people that I work with and friends and family.
Well, I kind of heard that thread in there too, and I was going to bring it up, is even if they don't help you at that one time, doesn't mean that they're not able to help you at another time. And maybe they won't ever be able to. maybe that's not where they're at in their spot.
Yeah.
But maybe it changes how you interact, how you ask next time. Because whatever in the way that was asked, something pulled the trigger in them.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe it's, oh, well, how am I communicating that? What's their communication style? How do I see them asking for help? Or did they ask in the same way I did? Or did they ask in a different way? And so then when I'm needing something, do I use that same language back?
Like, how do you even have that conversation when, like, because that, like, you know, I use my coaching skills, or like, you know, I've worked really hard on this and am cautious of my words, and it just was like, hey, do you think next time this would be possible? And I couldn't even get the words out before I was immediately shut down, and it was like it felt very defensive, and I was like, man, like I couldn't even finish a question in a
Right.
way that wasn't. So it's like right now I don't know how to even ask or have those conversations. So I'm gonna have to maybe look at some wording. There's a girl that is one of our wellness natives here in Nashville who's really, really good at, you know, changing just a few words to have the conversation. So maybe it's something that I can like revisit with this person and be like, hey, so remember when this happened? Maybe they'll be out of that fight or flight, or I'd be like, would you willing, you know, this would really help me. Would you be willing to have this conversation? Maybe, I don't know, if it's still sitting with me.
If it's still sitting with you, definitely. If it's not, you know, sometimes we just have to let go and move on, and not of the person, but maybe that instance, because sometimes when we're trying to communicate, whether using coaching skills or other skills, the other person isn't ready, even if they've said they are, and maybe they've done little steps, maybe they're not at the same, hey, let's work on this, let's think about this, let's be aware of what we're talking. Your steps tend to be leaps and bounds. Most people's steps are little bitty and kind of slide back and little bitty. So maybe just take a feel for where they're at in their process in getting better, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work when you're constantly thinking about, how am I saying things, how am I interacting, how am I asking, how am I giving. It's a lot of work. And you know, your go, work, do, and that's why your advancements and your insight just expands so much. Where other people, they can do it for a short time, but then they can't. So they have to rest and then do it again. So that's always something to think about too, is that maybe they just need a timeout, catch their breath, and recoup again.
Yeah. And then I think just like having, you know, these conversations will help me, because I'm craving that level of support. And so, and yeah, it's not going to be in everyone that I know, because I put a lot of work into this, and to get to that observer mode and that non-judgmental mode, it's not going to be in everyone in every moment. It's not in me in every moment. But I'm craving that, and it's like I haven't found it for myself. So I think, again, why we launched this channel is, you know, at least I have you to start that process, and other people are coming in. Like, it's so crazy. You know, we can talk about, I told you about this yesterday, so I'm getting a frame drum. So excited. Talk about manifesting like that. Like, we are manifesting so fast right now, good or bad. So it's so important to be cautious. So we talked last week at the pilot episode about how we had this conversation, decided to launch this show, this channel, and then I get off the phone with you and someone's like, how are you? And I was just like, whoa, talk about instant manifestation. And then we have this conversation, and then I get going, and I've been kind of called to sing again and get into more instruments, and the song has been coming to me, and I think it's a drum song. And I was like, I need a drum. Yep. And my husband's like, well, in the meantime, I'm sure there's something, you know, you could beat on around here. I was like, yeah, but I mean, I need a drum, like a good drum. And then all of a sudden on my news feed, this girl that's local who sings into drums and just does this magical work is selling drums again because she shifted a little bit of her work because of everything going on. And I was like, perfect. So then we chat yesterday and I kind of give her a little bit of my journey and she gives me hers. And it's just so cool. And then at the end of it, you know, she mentioned like, you know, and I'm also looking for my new tribe, someone that I can share all of me with, all of what I have to offer out that people would understand. And I was like, huh, interesting you mentioned that. My mom and I just are launching this channel and we're craving the same thing. And she's like, maybe I could be on your show. And I was like, that's so cool. So we are manifesting like instantaneously right now, which is super exciting. But also to be very cautious about because you can manifest in any direction. It's not just good things. It's, you know, if you're focused on, you know, the negative, the fear, the, you know, poor health or losing a career, like whatever that is, you're just going to bring more and more and more of that to you. You know,
whatever you put your energy to,
that is worrying about not having support. Well, that's what I'm going to get, not having support. So maybe that's something I can work on. You know, if I want this, I've already shown that I can manifest it. So I'll just let that go and just keep manifesting more of that support at the level that I'm looking for and be okay that it's not going to be everybody, but I will have those people. Ooh, can I share another manifesting success with you?
Sure.
So I've had a couple people call me goddess, like just goddess energy or something. And I'm like, what do they see in me? Like that's, and I don't ask, I just like let it like just roll with it. But it's kind of been in my head a little bit. And I was doing a meditation a couple, I don't know, last weekend or something. And I asked my guides, I said, you know, what is this goddess energy that people are seeing in me? Like, you know, as I learn more about me, is it a past life? Is it, you know, who am I? And is it something I embody? You know, kind of like Christ-like consciousness. I kind of understand that. You know, me trying to wrap my head around it. And so I just asked, I said, show me this goddess energy. And then I was led to, like, I don't even know how, like, not that same day, Akalanda, and she is the, she's a goddess. It's like the goddess, forever broken, like not never not broken. It like does two negatives in there. And it even talks about you know, back at some point, like this goddess energy trying to be trapped in boxes, whether literal or through marriage, and that really resonated. And that she like rides the wave of fear, like she rides on this crocodile and it represents fear and the reptilian brain and this fight or flight. And she befriends this crocodile, or like uses this to ride down the river of life, where the fear navigates her journey. And that's everything I've been saying. And I'm like, whoa. And she's like the creator. She like helps with transformations and death and rebirth and like that uncomfortableness. Like she helps navigate that and see that when everything is falling down around you, when you're just shattered into pieces, that's when you're the most powerful. And she does it over and over again. Like she's never whole, and that's her power. And I'm like, that is so me. I was just like, yes. And that's like, and now I'm at the point again where I am getting ripped apart, everything that I know, to be pulled back together into a new version of me. So that was a cool manifestation. Like I was like, ask, receive.
There you go.
Pretty cool.
Well, it's very cool. And once we get into that, because everything we could ever need is right here for us, already happening. It all depends if we're accepting to receive that. Because a lot of times we're out there asking for it, but then we never give ourselves the permissions to accept it. So nice. When you're gonna have to text me that name, because
Akalanda, yeah.
And I was like, woo, that's way cool. And there it went right out there. So
and guess what I'm doing right after this? It just actually popped up because it starts in 10 minutes. I found an Akalanda transmission, new moon transmission meditation that I'm going to be a part of at 2 o'clock today. Like came in and was like, whoop, here you go. So I'm really excited to see what comes of that.
Nice.
So
I'm excited.
yeah. Oh, so many things popping up. Sorry, my stuff's put on my screen. So yeah, I'm excited about that. I'll let you know. Maybe can I read the message of the day today? It kind of goes in the same theme of like everything we've been talking about, and then see what kind of closing notes you might have about all of this, right?
Okay.
So the message was, learn to say goodbye. Sometimes we need to say goodbye. Sometimes goodbyes come suddenly without warning. Others are anticipated. Sometimes they're a relief, and sometimes they hurt deeply. We say goodbye to things, people, and places. We say goodbye to beliefs and behaviors that become outdated. Occasionally along the journey, we need to say goodbye to something else too, our dreams. Dreams are precious. They become embedded in our minds and our hearts. When they die, it can be painful to let them go. But if we're not careful, dead dreams we haven't released can sabotage our lives and our hearts. We will continue to try to place people and things in the vacant roles in our dreams. Our dead dreams will, in fact, be controlling our lives and blocking our hearts. Living with dreams that are dead closes the door to finding new visions and creating new dreams. If you can't see tomorrow or today clearly because of yesterday's dreams, it may be time for a funeral. Tenderly take your dearest dreams, your hopes, your highest hopes and aims, the ones from yesterday that are now never to be, and place them gently in the ground. Tell them how dear they were and are, but tell them also it's time to say goodbye. Cover them up, dry your eyes, and open yourself to the new hopes and dreams of today.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, kind of spot on, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty powerful, scary, powerful, like, so I think of just, it's a hard one to let go of what you thought uh, would be coming your way, or what you've worked, 10 years on in a career, or for you, like just so much, like, what kind of stuck out to you when I read that for your own experience?
It it had me thinking about, okay, what have I held on to as far as dreams or goals that don't serve me right now? And the difference on the two of us is, I like change. Change happens all the time, and I've got like 500 things that I want to do, and I want to do them all now. And I have the hard time of patience of letting those come to fruition, and not trying to work all of them at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's what I do.
You think we're different? Because that sounds just like me.
But I think where the difference is, I don't feel myself clinging
Mm-hmm.
to like goals or plans that I had for myself 20 years ago,
Mm.
or 10 years ago. And some things that, I decided to do, the new dream or new goal, I achieved it and then moved on. Others were like, yeah, this was something that I really wanted. Why didn't quite get there? But okay. And I kind of accepted it as what it was, and it shifted and changed into something else. So I think there are probably some, and I'm going to have to think about it to see what's hanging on there that I'm thinking still a part of things but isn't, and go ahead and let them go. But I don't think I dwell in them as much as maybe some people do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, like, for me, I've identified it, and now I'm just like waiting for the manifestations to come in. So like the one that I think of is just like my career, right? I've been a food scientist, a scientist for all of, my years, and until recently, where I've kind of merged the two, and then now it's like I'm okay ending that cycle, that version of me, not replacing it, not regretting it, not changing it, but I'm okay completing that chapter, and then maybe just letting go of what I thought the next chapter would be or would include, and just being like, start from scratch and just let it flow in and let it just going with the flow, but also having the courage to end something without knowing what's coming. That's, I think, my biggest thing right now, is to just trust. And when you just, you know that the new is coming in, it's
Right.
believing, it's trusting. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think, yeah, and that believing and trusting, because I've taken a lot of leaps of faith. So when I became an interpreter, I was doing something completely different, and it's like, nope, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to work all day and go to school all night, and quit my job, and didn't ever worry about my appointment book filling up. And I know some of the people that I went through school with that were, and friends that, you know, their appointment books were empty, and they worried and stressed. Again, what we talked about, what we focus on is what we never had that fear. Always had, you know, even if I was like, ooh, it's blank, okay. And then 10 minutes later, I had 3 new jobs. And then when I decided, well, I'm done with this, and hey, what am I going to do? Oh, hey, I'm going to go be a wind tech. And just jumped into it, right? And then that brought me to where I'm at. Now I'm kind of like, okay, there's options open to me. I think now my biggest thing is not the right one is hit, because on 2 jumps, I had no, it was just jump, do, that's it. It worked fine. And now it's like, okay, this is good, but which one is that leap? And once it's there and I have clarity on it, then there'll be no looking back again. I think we kind of got sidetracked there.
It sounds similar to me, though, because it's like, can you leap without the clarity? I think that's what I'm being asked to do right now, is to leap without the clarity, because sometimes without the clarity, you'll never leap. So what if the clarity doesn't come this time? Will you still leap?
Yeah. I would say this time I'm better without the clarity and leaping, because I actually have supports, and I have the hard time where you're like, I have the supports, but I don't remember to lean on them, because I'm so used to just having to do it all myself. And so now that I have it, I'm like, oh, I don't know how to utilize them. I don't know what to do with supports. So that's really hard for me. So me stopping and thinking, oh, I could ask somebody to help with this, you know? That's where you're like, I'm asking, hey, you turned me down. Dang it, I asked. Give it, yeah, right? And where I'm like, oh, I didn't even think to ask. So, yeah. And then when I ask, letting them.
Receiving, being open to receiving. And maybe that's still a reflection that situation was showing me too, although I'm asking, maybe there's just still a little bit of blockage I have on that side of my heart of receiving that I've really been working on the past month. So I'll just keep focusing on my heart, and I've been clearing a lot in my throat chakra too, to speak my truth, to ask for help. So I guess I just keep, trying to be my best self and serve others, because that's what's going to come back. Karma, justice, what goes out comes back. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Full circle around it.
Yeah, I did. Look at that. Perfect. Right. Who would have thought?
You get what you needed today?
Yeah, I think so. What about you?
I think so. And even I didn't even realize I needed, there it was.
Yeah, and then the similarities, right? Yeah, that's always fun to see. So cool. Well, I always enjoy chatting. That's what Rizzo said. It's done. Time's over. That's what Priest has been doing too. So
there's on the other side of me. He's just not quite so tall and meaty.
Okay.
So
awesome. Okay. Well, so until next time.
2 birds on the line, and we'll catch you on the next call.
Yeah. All right. Love you, Mom.
Love you.
Love you all. See ya.